Hello, I'm Typo T-Rex, and you can't see me, but instead you see...
Nexus.
All right, so we're back with another deck profile. This is Sylveon VMAX. This is technically his deck, slash his wife's deck, but I've played it a little bit more than both of them at this point, so I'm going to run through and do it. So I'm actually going to consolidate, because this is how I like doing these. I like holding things. But man, look at that.
Look at those big
VMAX.
hands. That's why he likes to hold
That
things.
Sylveon V is beautiful. That's the one we traded you, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Am I not esports? Oh no. Oh. Yeah, we esports. We try not to curse too much. All right. So we have. Yeah.
Wait, what did I say?
I don't know. It's not worth.
I don't even remember.
The more
what
we
I
reference
said.
it, the more it stands out. That's why I normally just roll
What are we
past
talking
it.
about?
I'll get like we're esports and then just move past it. Because if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's really easy to miss.
No idea.
So we have 3 Sylveon Vs. We have 3 Sylveon VMAXs. First turn, Sylveon V is phenomenal. And by first turn, I mean like very first turn, not your first turn. Because if you go second, it's still good. It's just not as good. Because Dream Gift lets you search for any item. And if they don't have Marnie, you're great. And if they do have Marnie, that means they use Marnie instead of like a Professor's Research or something else to dig more. Apparently, I'm just flinging cards
That was
all
actually
over the
pretty
place.
smooth, too. You just flip it right into your hand. It came like a magician style.
But we're going to move on. So up next, you're going to notice the thing about this deck is, one, it has a lot of different types because that's what Max Harmony does. It does extra damage for each type of Pokemon on your bench, but it doesn't count the active. So if you have a Sylveon here and a Sylveon here, you still deal max damage. That's something people get confused about sometimes. All right, so next up we have the Blaziken. We have the 2-2 line. And that's as slim as you can get. Because this card is super important for setting stuff up. Not necessarily like himself energy-wise, because you just hit the Rapid Strike, which is double energy, but he's got a double colorless attack, so you don't have to worry about putting energies on him until you're ready to put energies on him. That's why I'll normally try and put the energy first turn on Sylveon, if I can get it. But yeah, his second attack, it doesn't do a lot of damage, but it grabs energies from the discard and attaches them to your other Pokemon. And all these Pokemon are three energy attackers, so that's super important. All right, and then this is your consistency engine. This is Octillery. Again, I'll normally try and get the energy. Let me slide this back into frame a little bit. Normally, I'll try and put the energy on the Sylveon, which hopefully is a capture energy, and the capture energy goes to grab Remoraid. And then, we are off to the races. There is not a much better hand than being able to attach capture energy to Sylveon one turn, have Remoraid out, and then like a Blaziken V, and then next turn, you get everything you need.
The key thing right there is the Octilleries. You want to get them out as soon as possible to start searching those decks, to pull those cards out. Like, they are just key in that support function turn by turn. Because the longer you have them out, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah, because a free search every turn is really good, but again, it's literally everything you ever need. You'd be like, all right, what do I need in this situation? If I can't search for it, it does not exist. And then we have the 2-2 line of the Urshifu V. It's Rapid Strike. I feel like it's fairly self-explanatory. This can snipe the deck or the bench a lot, and then again, just tight matchup because you have 4 or 5 different attackers in this deck.
And the other thing, too, is, like, if you try to think back as the Mewtwo utility deck, you had, like, a weak, especially right now with weakness being so huge. With that, it's very important because weakness is where you're going to be able to actually one-shot stuff now instead of two-shotting it in most instances. I think the only other deck that can really one-shot consistently is the Umbreon VMAX because you just get the extra 20 damage. On the single strike.
The other nice thing about the toolbox, too, is you avoid your weakness, and that's super important. And then the final Rapid Strike Pokemon is Aura. It's only got the 1 attack, but it snipes the bench pretty hard if one of your other Rapid Strike Pokemon attack last turn. So basically, every turn after first turn, he has the ability to steal knockouts on the bench.
Because it hits for 160 on the bench?
160 on the bench.
That's massive.
The initial damage is a little bit small. It only does 100. I think I made the mistake of miscounting against your...
Suicune,
your Suicune the other week. And I was like, oh, I one-shotted it. I was like, no, you did not. Well, it's time to go. So I'm going to just say I won anyway. Up next is Crobat. Crobat is Crobat. Especially in a deck with this many Pokemon, you find yourself running out of hand. It's pretty fast. So first turn, a lot of the time, you can get him to go.
The other thing, too, with him, too, with him being darkness, it also complements the fact that it's a different element to add to the damage with the Sylveon VMAX, Max Harmony move.
Now, The last card is Eldegoss. Eldegoss is a phenomenal card, but I hate it. I never get to use it, so I hate Eldegoss. And again, I understand why it's in here. I do. But Eldegoss is a card I am not a fan of. Like, on paper, it's a phenomenal card, but I never get to use it in the way it's supposed to be used. I always have to discard it or grab something stupid with it because I'm already losing.
I've had it save me, and probably one of the biggest things is for it is bosses. Like, I've had my bosses where it's carded, or I've had to discard one prior on a research, and I bring it right back.
If there's one in the discard, like, you have access to your entire discard. This
Yep.
this can and will win you a game. But I've never used it like that, and I've put it in my deck. Like, every deck is like, oh, I need a little bit more consistently. Like, being able to grab something out of there, just nice. But I don't know what I would replace it with if I replace anything. The only thing I could think of would be like a Leafeon, because those extra attaches are pretty nice. And like I say, the Sylveon is phenomenal first turn, but it's a search and then ends your turn, and it's in your hand, so you all are vulnerable to Marnie, and that can be frustrating sometimes.
Oh,
Speaking of
indeed.
Marnie, we have
Lots of Marnies.
yeah, we have 4 copies of Marnie. One of the Rainbow Rares. I don't know if you guys can actually see it on the camera, but these sleeves have this really cool effect on them, especially on the Rainbow Rare. However, it makes it very difficult to read cards sometimes because you're just like,
Especially in a bright light. Like, the brighter the light, the worse it is, the more it reflects.
Up next, we have
Bosses.
3 copies of Boss, and again, we've got to have at least one full art on top. You cannot tell at all what that is on the camera.
No, you really can't. There's been a few like that, but no big deal.
Okay, about right there.
There
you
we
can
go,
see.
yeah.
Okay, I just had to find where
The
where
sweet
it
spot.
works. Yep.
We don't have a full art research in this one yet. Something
Yeah.
we need to work on.
I mean, I think you have
The celebrations.
yeah,
I
the
could
place
do
under
that.
the
Yeah,
celebrations,
celebrations in there.
4 copies of research. That's it's research, and then again, you have so many Pokemon and stuff that, like, you play a 2/2 line of everything for consistency's sake, but most of the time you're not going to be playing 2 of most cards. So a lot of times you can just discard that. Karina's Focus is busted. Hold on, I forgot. I gotta keep
Sweet
it down
spot.
here.
There you go.
But it is a Rapid Strike card, so Octillery can search for it. So if you're getting a late game and it's like, well, I don't need Pokemon or energies, but I could use a brand new hand, you're just like, Karina's, I win.
Basically.
Yep.
And you really only need to run 1 because you can search it and bring it out as long as it's not prized.
Yep. Then we have Tool Scraper.
Staple right now.
Again,
I think there should
super
be one in
important.
every
Yeah.
deck.
If you have the space, definitely.
Yeah.
If you don't, I think you should make the space.
I don't know how many times the Tool Scraper has saved me for 2 reasons. One, I'm either getting rid of air balloons so they're not free retreating, or I'm getting rid of the Capes of Toughness.
Yeah, getting rid of Cape of Toughness is super important. I was playing Paw Patrol, and I was like, awesome. If I had my Tool Scraper, I could win this game in 2 turns. But because I didn't have it and it was prized, I lost.
Yep. Definitely will happen.
4 Quick Balls. Self-explanatory.
Evolution Incenses.
4 Evolution Incenses. This deck plays a 2/2 line of everything. And getting to your Octillery as early as possible is super important. And then, sometimes searching for the Sylveon or whatever you need. These matter. You might be able to get away with like a 3/3 line because most of the stuff you're going to be searching for is Rapid Strike. But I think 4 is necessary.
With how many evolutions you're running, I would definitely say
Yeah.
4. But like you said, you can maybe get away with 3.
Yeah. 1 copy of Escape Rope. Relevant because you play Rapid Strike your Shifu, and being able to switch and just get that early 150 ping for 1 energy is phenomenal. But I feel like Escape Rope doesn't have as big of a place in the meta as it could have or used to, because that's why you're only seeing it as like a 1 of in most decks nowadays. What you are seeing instead is 2 copies of Air Balloon, because you can just consistently get Pokemon out of there. Normally you would put that on like the Blaziken, because it's a VMAX, and outside of Suicune, you're not really seeing too many water decks. But Blaziken is your setup. You attack with him once and just get him out of there, maybe twice, depending on where you are.
The one thing I will say about Escape Road is an item. So
Yeah.
that's one thing to keep in mind, is it still allows you to play a supporter, and you can see what your opponent's going to be playing against you with the Escape Rope. So that does allow you to do some setups.
Up next, we have Echoing Horn. It's another Rapid Strike item, so Octillery can search it. I think it's a phenomenal card. I think it makes a lot of sense in Rapid Strike. However, I feel like it's not as relevant as we thought it was going to be when it initially came out. So if I would cut something, I think Echoing Horn is definitely on the chopping block.
I would have to
Like,
actually disagree with you because the thing is with hitting the bench with Echoing Horn, you could bring something back to take it. That would be the biggest thing.
yeah, but so most of your bench snipes are 120 or 160. So if you're gonna echoing horn, you're gonna have to echoing horn something and then boss it up immediately.
Well, not necessarily. If you know you're going to get the knockout in the active slot, you can Echoing Horn, like especially with like let's say doing a Zero or a V, you could hit the bench and it at the same time, and depending on what you're hitting, minimum you're taking 2
That's
prize
fair.
cards,
Yeah.
and maybe even up to
Yeah.
if you're doing maybe right, you're hitting a V max and it has enough 100, you're
Yeah.
taking 4 prize cards, and somebody may not expect that.
Yeah.
I just think if you set it up right, it can be powerful. But I do agree with you, it's not as good as I think we would have thought initially.
All right, and then up next is Tower Waters. This card is busted.
No joke there.
Like free retreat cost in any of the Rapid Strike decks is just phenomenal. It also just like completely dominates the Leafeon matchup because it's like, all right, so first I'm getting rid of your Galar Mine. Second, I have 2 less retreat costs, which is most of the deck.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes Leafeon very unfortunate. And then looks like we're getting to the energies. All right, so I mentioned it briefly earlier, talking about Sylveon to grab the Remoraid is like your ideal play. You have 3 capture energies. Outside of first turn, you really don't want to be capture energizing anything. We don't play the Sobble line in this. So you're not going to consistently have something good to grab. So that's why there's only 3. And then, of course, this is a Rapid Strike deck. You're going to play 4 copies of Rapid Strike.
If you could play more than 4, you would.
Oh yeah, 100%. If you could play, I wouldn't play too many more than 4. I think 5 would be great.
I think 5 would be
Yeah.
like the perfect number.
But yeah, it works for everything in the deck. Every single one of your attackers has at least an attack that has 2 colorless energies in it because of Rapid Strike. So earlier I said everything is a 3 energy attacker. That's true, but it really only takes 2 attaches. So that does solve a lot of the problems that this deck has about being quote-unquote slow because you have a double energy. And then to bring up the final things is 3 electric energies because their aura is super important. Yeah. I mean,
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Good matchups. I think Suicune is definitely a solid matchup.
Yep.
I don't think Paw Patrol is hit or miss because you have the Blaziken. But if you have to start relying on the Sylveon, you're losing because you're getting one-shotted every day.
To me, I would say
Yeah.
who got set up first in
Yeah.
that matchup, and
Yeah.
that's really where the key is.
Yeah.
Because
Again, that's the nice thing about the toolbox decks is you do get to, again, just pick and choose your matchup. Because if I'm playing against Paw Patrol, it's like, all right, I'm just going to play around with Blaziken as much as I can until it dies or I'm getting super punished. But, the fact that you can one-shot everything that Paw Patrol has just makes your life easy.
how do you think it'd fare against Dragapult? Because we see
I
Dragapult out
was just
there.
thinking Dragapult. I don't actually know. I feel like, again, it's a pretty even matchup. There's lots of spread damage, but your support Pokemon, with the exception of Octillery, are VMAXs.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's going to take, quite a few hits for them to knock anything out. And, Octillery still has 120 HP, so that's going to take like 2 to 3 turns for it to get knocked out. And if you get 2 to 3 searches off of Octillery, you're gold.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
if you get 2 turns of Octillery set up, and especially if you have 2 of them set up, you're good realistically.
I normally try not to have 2 set up just because you want to maximize damage as much as possible with this deck. But, sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
especially against Dragapult, I'd
Yeah.
get 2 because
Yeah,
I
if
mean,
the first one gets knocked out, definitely. If
Yeah.
you can, put up a second one. But I try not to have 2 on the bench at the same time because that doesn't accomplish anything.
What about Rayquaza against this?
Rayquaza is just not a proper deck. We
Ultra Ball, that's what we're waiting on, right?
Yeah. Again, we did like 12 or 13 deck profiles with Jordan yesterday, and every time Rayquaza got brought up, it's like, yeah, Rayquaza just loses to this because Rayquaza doesn't function properly. But no, again, this is a toolbox deck, and I feel like toolbox decks don't generally have bad matchups. Because it doesn't matter what you're playing, I will find your weakness or I will avoid my own that you're playing. So again, I really like toolbox decks. I want to build this. There's a couple things I would do different, obviously, just because we have different styles. But I want to build this deck. The Sylveon deck is so good if you can get everything for it.
Because you see the Leafeon variation
Yeah.
commonly instead of the Zeraora V.
Yeah.
I think we see I think it's Galarian Moltres thrown in here, the
Yeah.
Darkness.
I think the Moltres is extremely nice. So Jordan King Jester's calling it the cat of TCG. You set it on its bench, and then it just takes care of itself.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It does.
And then it just comes in, kills something, and then leaves.
I would say if you're going to be running either one of those, 2 of each copy, I've seen variations of it. And then the other thing, too, if you think about the Galarian Moltres, too, because we're probably going to see a lot of Mewtwo decks coming out.
Oh,
And
the
Mewtwo,
V, not the...
sorry, not Mewtwo. The Mew V Max coming out in the Fusion is weak to Darkness, so that may be a real big staple coming
I
in.
think the Moltres is, again, only going to get better. It was like the idea of Victini until Fire lost all of its...
What Fire?
all of its support. But this video is starting to run a little bit long. So I've been Typo T-Rex.
I have been Nexus.
And you've been watching us here on Typo House Games on YouTube. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. But that's it for the video. Bye, everyone.
Later.